Hello, darling parent. Well, one of the desires for parents is to create, nurture, and develop their children in such a way that the child does not live a life with fear, child lives a life with courage. In this video, we will discuss a few tricks and techniques by which you can nurture your child to grow up as a person who does not give in to fear, but as a person who faces fear with a lot of confidence. How to do that? Now, first, let's understand um, what is fear? When does fear come to us? Is fear something natural? Do as adults we also face fear? If we are afraid, will we be able to guide our children in becoming courageous? Well, in the first few minutes of this video, I'll attempt to answer these, and then as we move ahead, we will attempt to answer a few guidelines on how to make your child very, very courageous. What is fear? Whenever I have to face a situation where I might be uncomfortable or it is just outside my comfort zone, or I think I might fail. In any one of these three scenarios, the body attempts to resist. The body attempts to guide us to place safe. The mind says, don't do this क्योंकि खतरा है. As a result of which, what we experience inside us is called fear. Fear is very natural. Fear by itself is not wrong. And fear does a very beautiful thing. It makes us alert. You know, when I'm afraid, I'm alert. Think about a time when you were afraid in the night because it was too dark and you were walking. You wouldn't be absent-minded in those times at all. You would be at your peak of alertness. Slightest of noise somewhere and you would look to find out what it is. Slightest of noise below your feet and you look down to feel what it is. Fear brings in alertness. So nature has created this emotion called fear inside us, not to show that we are weak, not to prove that we are not capable, but fear has only one purpose, and the purpose is to make us alert. The mistake which is done in fear is I withdraw from opportunities. The mistake that I do in fear is I do not take the initiative to do what has to be done. The mistake that I do in fear is I become immobile and therefore it leads to certain losses in life. The mistake that I do in fear is I allow somebody to misbehave with me and I feel sad in the process and feel exploited in the process. So while fear is sometimes necessary because alertness is necessary, what is wrong is giving into fear or surrendering to fear. So as a parent, when you find that your child gets afraid, you ask the child to sit in front of you and you don't make him feel that he's not good enough, he's a nincompoop, क्या रे तू डरपोक है, ऐसा कभी नहीं बोलने का. Never. What we do is we ask him to talk. Ask him to open his mind and heart. Okay, you felt afraid. Okay, so because you were afraid, you did not go ahead. I understand you. Now, what else could have been done? Now, if you had gone ahead in spite of fear, what are the good possibilities that would have happened? Tell them fear is very natural, but let us conquer those fears and not give in to those fears. So when I become alert because of fear, let me analyze what I'm about to do. Is it right or is it wrong? If I do something which is wrong because of fear, then I need to work on myself. But if fear makes me alert and makes me focus a little more to go ahead, it is such a beautiful thing to do. How? do you motivate your children to conquer fear? Here are a few suggestions. Suggestion number one: fear is always conquered a bit at a time. A bit at a time. I remember my child Mehek was very afraid of the dark. When she was 2 years, 2.5, 3 years old, full night she used to sleep with lights on. She could not tolerate darkness. She would start shivering when it would be dark. And we realized this is making her very weak. Fear is understandable, but she's giving into that fear and she says, I want light all the time. So we said, okay, let's do one thing. Let's switch off the light, but you hold Papa's hands. Will that be okay? You hug Papa. Papa is there to save you in case anything happens. Is that okay? She said, no, it's not okay. He said, okay, we'll put on one 0-watt bulb so you can see everything lightly. It won't be dark, and Papa would be there next to you. Would that be okay? She said, yeah, that I think can be done. She didn't want to do it, but she did it. And then, after a few days, we switched off the 0-watt bulb and I was there lying down next to her. And then, after a few days, I was sitting next to her holding her hand. And then, after a few days, I said, I'll be there next to you. You can be with yourself. You can hug your pillow. You can hug your teddy. You can keep lying down. And you can keep talking to Papa if you want. And for the full night, Papa will be there in the room next to you. And then one day she said, now I think I can sleep without you even there's no light. I am okay with it. In other words, you stand as a support with your child when you overcome the fear of your child. Fear doesn't go with a jhatka. It is easier to conquer fear a bit at a time. You know, these small steps gives people confidence. These small steps slightly expands the comfort zone, and you will find your child will also be able to face fears this way. So first, having fear is not something wrong, is not something bad. Second, if fear is there, you stand there as a support system. Third, fear can be conquered easily a small bit at a time. And finally, what you can do is, you can narrate stories about how you were afraid in your life and how you behaved stupidly because of fear, how you lost because you were afraid, and then you must also speak about how you overcome that fear and how did it benefit you. Make them feel it is okay to be afraid, it is not wrong to be afraid, but it is wrong to give up when you are afraid. So as the statement goes, courage is not the absence of fear. Fear is natural. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is going ahead in spite of fear. By the time you interact with the child long enough, the child should be able to see fear as a friend and not as an enemy. Because the work of fear to make us alert. And therefore, fear is a friend and not an enemy. And we must never give in to fear. We must be alert and take a beautiful decision to face fear. May you conquer as a parent a few fears in your life, and may you help the child to conquer a few fears in their life. Wish you all the best and love you so much. Do subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update from Wow Parenting.